In this video, I'm going to discuss why I'm not a fan of the cue, stand up straight with your shoulders back. Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm the creator of the Strength Academy, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a place where I help you overcome painful muscle imbalances so that you can become stronger and more mobile and age well. To understand why I'm not a fan of the cue, stand up straight with your shoulders back, we first need to understand what it means to be properly stacked. Stacking, why is this important? Because it's going to impact the relationship between your upper and lower body. So if you're not properly stacked, this can contribute to pain. In fact, one of the most common mistakes that is made on a daily basis when you're exercising or doing your daily activities is losing the relationship between the upper and lower body. So let's take a look at what that relationship is. So stacking means your rib cage and pelvis are stacked, or as I like to call it, organized. Let's take a look at this. So my pelvis and my rib cage are stacked over top of each other. Now I've lost the stack. Stacked, not stacked. So when I lose the stack, my ribs flare and my pelvis tilts anteriorly. You can see I dump into my low spine. So here's the pelvis. It's like a bowl. So this is a stacked pelvis. And this is what happens when I lose the stack. To make it simpler, I'm going to use a bowl. When I'm properly stacked, all of the imaginary popcorn in this bowl is going to stay in the bowl. But when I lose the stack, oh my goodness, all the popcorn comes flying out the front of the bowl. I've got one more analogy for you using scissors. When I'm properly stacked, the scissors are closed. When I lose the stack, whoa, I scissor open. Oh, stacked. Stacked. So you don't want to scissor open. You want to close your scissors. Let's take a look at some examples, starting with the plank. Here you can see the rib cage and pelvis have scissored open, but here the rib cage and pelvis are stacked. This is snaking the push-up, whereas this is a stacked push-up. Now I'm dumping into my low back when I press overhead, whereas here I am completely stacked. Banana back unstacked handstand versus a stacked handstand, which is more efficient. It's easier to hold this. This is my handstand transformation, and you can see I started with the banana back unstacked position, and it took me a lot of years to get myself stacked. Why? Because I had muscle imbalances. Why? From sitting all the time and moving improperly, because I just didn't have any movement IQ. So I had to go back to school, and then I was able to build my body's structure and stability so that I could earn the mobility required to hold a handstand. And you can see a dramatic change in my shoulder overhead mobility over the years. Let's pretend that this is your diaphragm, your breathing muscle. So the problem with the rib flare is that it puts you in a hyperinflated state, which makes it hard for the diaphragm to fully ascend and relax when you exhale. So the first step to fixing the relationship between your upper and lower body is fixing your breathing mechanics. That's right, your breathing mechanics will impact the relationship between your upper and lower body. A simple way to improve your breathing mechanics is to pay attention to fully exhaling. So with a full exhale, your diaphragm will be able to fully ascend and push the air out of your lungs. So you can see by fully exhaling, how it brings the ribs down. It stops them from doing that flare, and it helps you organize your rib cage over your pelvis. Another quick trick is to cough. Watch what happens. Do you see how that brings the ribs down? It organizes you. It also engages your deep core muscles, your TVA and your pelvic floor. You'll actually feel your TVA cinch in, and you'll feel your pelvic floor move upwards when you cough. So to recap, we know that fixing your breathing mechanics can improve the relationship between your upper and lower body. Now, if you have an anterior pelvic tilt, which is something that I had for 40 plus years of my life, it's not the simplest thing to fix, but it is fixable. So how do you fix an anterior pelvic tilt and improve stacking and overcome tight hips, back spasm, and back pain? It's a good question. And one of the key answers is improve your breathing mechanics. And number two, to strengthen your TVA, your transversus abdominis. This is your deepest core muscle. It is your body's primary stabilizer, meaning it acts first whenever you move. Now, how do you strengthen your TVA if you don't even know how to properly engage it? So that's where doing tons of core exercises won't help you if you aren't doing it with the TVA engaged. So the first step is learning how to actually engage your TVA so that you can then go on to successfully strengthen it. The problem with your TVA snoozing on the job, being on vacation in Mexico, not doing what it's supposed to be doing, is that now other muscles in your body have to take over and do all the work that the TVA isn't doing. These are your secondary stabilizer muscles. So let's talk about these secondary stabilizers. They're martyrs, okay? They're doing all the work of the TVA, and now they're working out of context, and it's making them janky. They're tight, they're jacked up, they're spasming, and guess what the popular martyrs are? The psoas and the QLs, the quadratus lumborum muscles. So if you have janky hips that are tight, and you have spasm in the low back or pain in the low back, well, now you know why. It's because your TVA is on vacation in Mexico, and now your psoas and your QLs are martyrs. So what's the solution here? The solution here is to learn how to engage your TVA so that you can strengthen it, because this will allow these martyrs, these secondary stabilizers, to finally be able to chill out. They're so tight and overworked. So if you let them chill out, they'll lengthen. And by lengthening, this will balance the pelvis. So when these guys are jacked up, what it does is it yanks the pelvis into an anterior pelvic tilt. So if they relax, boom, now you're not spilling popcorn out of the front of your pelvic bowl anymore. So to recap thus far, we know we can improve our breathing mechanics. We can learn how to engage the TVA so we can strengthen it and allow the secondary stabilizers to chill out and stop yanking the pelvis into an anterior pelvic tilt. And the third thing we can do is improve our hip extension. So that means strengthening the glute max muscles, your butt, through full range of motion. And conveniently, by having strengthened your TVA, this will allow the hips to open up more, which will improve your hip extension. Now let's get back to the reason why you clicked on this video. Why I think the cue, stand up straight with your shoulders back, is the worst cue ever. And if you've been paying attention up until now, you can probably answer this question. First, I'm going to just state the obvious. You shouldn't be shoving your body into a position that's not natural feeling, says the pole dancer and hand balancer. So here I am, just standing here organized. My ribcage and pelvis are stacked, and somebody says to me, "Hey, Sarah, stand up straight with your shoulders back." Oh, do you see what happened there when I did that? Do you see how now my ribs are flaring? And all of the popcorn in my pelvic bowl just spilled out the front. I'm in an anterior pelvic tilt. Do you see how this is jamming the lumbar spine? Actually, it hurts me to be like this. And it's also jamming my shoulder blades so they can't move properly. Standing like that is a recipe for back pain, tight hips, and messed up shoulder mechanics. Ask me how the fuck I know. And let me tell you, I've worked hard on fixing my rib flare and anterior pelvic tilt. And I can tell you straight up that fixing your breathing mechanics, learning how to engage your TVA and strengthen it, and improving your hip extension will solve the problemo. So we're not going to stand up straight with our shoulders back anymore. Instead, we're going to organize ourselves with our rib cage stacked over our pelvis. You can't see my pelvis right now, but it is stacked. Oh, but Sarah, I can't stack myself. Yes, you can. You just have to get to work improving your breathing mechanics, learning how to engage your TVA and strengthening it, and improving your hip extension. And if you need help with that, then you can do my Core Solutions program, which is sold separately, or you can find it inside my Strength Academy. And I know the argument is, oh, well, if you stand up straight with your shoulders back, it makes you taller. Actually, no, it doesn't. But you know what will make you taller? A strong TVA. Because if your TVA is doing its job, then your secondary stabilizers can chill out. So they're not going to be tight anymore. So if they're not tight, they lengthen. And this decreases the compression on your spine. So now your spine can go, oh, thank God. And it'll make you taller. In fact, I grew taller by doing TVA strengthening, and so did many of the members inside my Strength Academy. The other bonus of having a strong TVA is that it shrinks your waistline. And everybody who does my TVA strengthening program loses 1 to 3 inches off of their waistline. So if you want to walk into a room feeling taller and having one hell of a presence, this is what you're going to do. You're going to organize yourself. Close your scissors. Fully nasal exhale. Then, whilst maintaining your stack, nasal inhale and fully inflate your lungs. This will make you taller. Now, I don't want you to develop a fear of moving your spine through range of motion. A healthy spine is a spine that moves in all planes. So there shouldn't be a fear of back bending. Back bending would be a whole other video, but there is a way to approach it safely where you use your TVA to stabilize your lumbar spine so that the thoracic spine can extend. And of course, you're going to need nice open shoulders and you're going to need nice open hips. But that's another video. Thank you for watching my video, and thank you to everybody who has subscribed. I'm most grateful. I really hope that you learned something today that you can immediately implement that will help you improve your movement quality. And if you're interested in taking a deep dive in everything I've talked about, then definitely check out my Core Solutions program or my Strength Academy.